fucking bullshit. Fuck the tomorrow. It's going off with Muse. No RC. Nowhere to be found. Oh gosh. Oh, how embarrassing. I can't possibly carry this by myself. How can we possibly fill the boots of RC, but not one, but two?
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Grr, boom, boom. Hey, yo, what up? Going soft?
No.
No?
It's going off, and we do suck. It's Kill Bill and Rav again.
Hi.
So soon.
Hey, what up? What up?
Y'all from here?
Thank you for having
Who
us.
you voting for? Let's talk
Y'all
about
don't even
it.
go here.
How are you? We haven't just had a conversation.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I had to start out with a shout out to the late great Iron Sheik who passed away today.
Cheeky
R.I.P.
baby, R.I.P.
I was hoping his last words were "fuck Hogan," but I honestly don't even know that he was even in control of his own Twitter. I'm pretty sure it was like a social media manager, because it was like "fuck the true love" was some other tweet, and it's like, I don't think.
I saw like "fuck the wildfires."
Yeah,
was up there.
that was the last
Fuck the
tweet. I love
Wildfires
it.
was the last tweet.
And the one before that, I wish the one before that was his last one, because it was whoever led the dogs out could go fuck yourself.
I like to think that the only person who gives a shit about the Baha Men in 2023 was the Iron Sheik, and now
Yeah.
there's no one left.
I don't think I've ever gotten a chance to talk about this, but I learned like a year ago that the Baha Men, was it Who Let the Dogs Out? Did you know that is a cover song?
Oh my god, no, I didn't.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
I can't remember who it's by, but the original's kind of a banger. But I feel like compelled anytime they're brought up to say that was a cover song, because that completely changed my opinion of the song in a way.
I remember that there were a couple different theories as to what the song meant too. Like, I remember one was like, oh, they're talking about like ugly women at a party. And then the other one was like, I don't remember. I know there was a second theory I heard about that wasn't that kind of made a little more sense.
I looked it up, and apparently, like, it even says on the wiki for the song, because the song was covered by like a
Wait,
bunch
before
of
you
people.
say what it is, can I try to guess what it is?
Well, I actually don't really know what it is, but I know that it wasn't the ugly person.
Okay,
like the ugly women.
That's good.
I'll tell you, my feeling of what it is came from when I was a kid and I first heard it. I don't remember if I heard it on MTV or in that Rugrats movie first, but
I heard on Nickelodeon for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But I remember when I heard it, I just thought like, you know, who let the boys in? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's what I
Like
thought.
to the party, like, yeah, who let the dogs out? Who let like all the wild people out? Because if that's the energy and vibe I got out of it, you know, that
for
spirit.
Sure. It's weird because like I like low key kind of like that song now, and like I feel like it's like one of the most like universally hated things for whatever reason, and I don't see what's so annoying about it other than like it's repetitive.
The Baha Men dipped so quickly after that. Like, I know for whatever reason, like, they had a couple would-be smashes on Nickelodeon. They were like the life support because they were in the Rugrats movie, that when we went back and we tried to watch one of the old Kids' Choice Awards for the YouTube channel, they won like best song or whatever, and it wasn't Who Let the Dogs Out. It was another song
Oh shit.
that I had
Wow.
never heard of, but the kids obviously loved enough to vote for.
Yeah. Let's go.
But looking it up on the Wikipedia, Rav is closer here. Douglas claimed that the song has nothing to do with dogs and actually is has a feminist theme. It's a man-bashing song. The lyrics of the song are, "The party was nice, the party was pumping." When I said the word party, I was being metaphorical. It really meant things were going great. Oh, okay. The yippee-yi-yo, that's everyone happy, right? And everyone having a ball. Yeah. Life was going great until the men start the name-calling and the girls respond to them. So the men started calling them skank and skettle, every dirty word you can think of. The men started the name-calling, and then the girls respond to the call. And the women shout back, "Who let the dogs out?"
Oh, because like
Makes sense.
when I heard it originally, I heard it was like the woman shout out, like there's like a woman and she's just like I thought that it was like people were like partying too hard or something, but this kind of makes more sense. Yeah, you know, So yeah, of course. Yeah, why would the woman shout out "Who let the dogs out" at other women? Is she just bashing other women? Yeah, it's obviously it's the men.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah, so it's definitely the men. Yeah.
Mystery solved, y'all.
Oh, we love a feminist banger in this household.
Let's go. They had that one sad ass song from that Rugrats movie when like everyone's dancing with their moms and Chucky the kid doesn't have one to dance with.
Oh no!
When you're loved, you're not alone. The one you love is there beside you.
God, I gotta watch that movie again.
Never lost, never lost, never lost. Or on your own. That one.
What about babies are a gift? A gift from...
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting one to recall first.
I don't even remember that one.
Angelica and Susie sing it. I don't know which movie that is. It might be... I don't know which one that was. It might have been Gone Wild for all I remember.
It should be some sort of like psychological standardized test. Like whatever song you recall as the first song from Rugrats should say something about you, you know?
I know this is, this is just us hanging out and no one's listening in, so we can be super,
Politically incorrect.
Oh my God, we talked about it. I don't think we're ready for that. I'm sorry.
No,
it's like, what are you about to say about Susie Carmichael that we can't broadcast? Oh no. No, what I was gonna say was, I have to make a horrifying admission to y'all. I never watched any of the Rugrats movies.
Oh my God. It's fine. You know what? It's fine. It's never too late. It's never too late.
The first two were definitely bangers. I don't remember Gone Wild that much.
Was that the one with the Thornberrys?
Yeah, that was the
It was
one.
okay from what I recall. It was definitely the weakest out of the first three movies.
For sure, but it was cool that they had the little crossover, their Marvel movie
Yeah,
moment.
the little crossover moment.
Name a more epic crossover than the Rugrats and the Wild Thornberrys.
I can't. I certainly
Also,
can't.
like, the Rugrats movies are good, but they're still not as good as season 1 Rugrats. Season 1 and 2 are like real slappers.
Yeah, they're also very weird.
They're definitely strange, but I love them.
The fucking art is so strange.
It's
Oh my God, that's just a fever dream. I know it's a fever dream, like, in the show, but, like, that shit is, like... it terrified me when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
That had to traumatize some kids, right?
For sure, but I mean, what is a show that doesn't traumatize a little bit? You know? I feel like that's what we need. More traumatization in
I'd argue
media.
there's not enough,
Yeah, exactly.
Not enough trauma.
I don't know if I was ever traumatized by a Rugrats episode. I was traumatized by a Gumby short, but that's the closest I can get.
Let's talk about it.
What happened? Yeah.
Let's unpack
Break
that.
it down.
I was in the living room, and I was walking back to the room where the TV was, and Gumby was on, so I didn't normally really watch it, so I wasn't paying attention, but when I walked into the room, all I saw was Gumby and Pokey, his little pony friend, arrived on this planet. They were astronauts. They got out of the space capsule, and there's a little boy playing the piano, and he's not paying any attention to him. He's just, he's just vibing.
Chilling.
And yeah, he's just minding his own business. So Gumby and Pokey walk up, and they're just watching him for a second, and then Pokey sneezes, and the little boy stops playing the piano and just starts grabbing his head and moaning like, oh, and he's so mad that they fucked up his piano playing that he turns into a weird vampire monster, grows fangs, and his like head gets all pointy.
Bro,
It's scary.
He just like Rav for real.
How's your relationship with your parents? That sounds like something that would be traumatizing if there was like a real fear of repercussions within your actual life.
You know, it's really funny. I would it also surprise you? I know you're being maybe joking, but I also didn't like it when children would ever got yelled at in TV or movies. I didn't like that either. It scared me.
There you
that's
go. Yeah,
understandable.
no.
So, yeah.
I was being for real. I mean, like, I'm a little chaotic and forward with how I convey communication, but no, I was for real. Yeah, I'm not to pry too much, but yeah, I just kind of I see that myself. I saw, like, when you said that, I kind of saw myself a little bit in that. So
I never really made that specific connection to the fucking Gumby thing. I just thought, the fucking kid is scary.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, y'all, look it up on YouTube.
Oh, we will.
We will.
Off-goers at home. The kid was scary. There's no doubt about that. But besides that, yeah, I've actually had discussions with my mom pretty recently about, like, just kind of addressing those, like, childhood fears and stuff like that, and just kind of, like, moving on from that. So, yeah, that, good call on that one.
Yeah, sorry for the armchair psychology. It's just what I do.
That was oddly, yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, I have no problem with that shit.
Yeah.
I had one,
Sorry to hear that.
the Courage the Cowardly Dog, which I loved as a
That
show.
one comes up so often. I never watched Courage either.
Well,
dude.
it was really good. I mean, like, it was kind of its own thing. Like, I don't really know any shows that are like that, especially kid shows. But one of the episodes that always got me was there's an episode with a barber named Fred. And and he would do this thing. He was like their cousin or something, like Mariel's cousin. I don't know, or not cousin, like maybe his nephew or something.
Some sort of relation. Yeah.
Something, and basically he would come in and he had this like compulsion to cut hair, like no matter who's like against their consent, like he would just like cut hair all the time, and he wanted to shave Courage right the whole time. But he had a very, like, if you look him up, I think his name is Fred. He has a very like creepy look about him. But the thing that got me,
he looks like, I think he's based off of that one actor, unhinged old actor who was like blonde.
Gary Busey.
Gary Busey, yeah.
He is kind of. I never put two and two together on that, but he does kind of look like Gary Busey.
Like him, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing that got me was because he would have these little poems, and they would always end it with, he was just like, "But I was very naughty," right? But that wasn't what scared me. What scared me was the music. There was this like music that would go like la 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 when he's doing stuff. And when I was a kid, that shit freaked me the fuck out. Like, there wasn't like a lot of things that scared me in media like that. Like, I mean, like horror movies and stuff scared me, but like that was like rough.
Yeah.
And I remember enough to where I was like, turn it off. I was like,
damn. I can't. The two moments for me in Courage the Cowardly Dog was like Return the Slab.
I thought that shit was funny.
I thought it was scary because of the dissonance of like the 3D model versus like 2D background.
Yeah.
I remember just looking like weird, and I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? And the other one that I remember, it wasn't scary, but something that stuck with me is Cats. Whenever he would appear on screen and his music would play. Yeah, I was just
his
like,
music
damn.
was awesome. I remixed that. I never put it out, but I did sampled it once. But like another thing that got me, and this is like, I think this is something that still weirds me out to an extent. So like when I was a kid, I saw The Nightmare Before Christmas when I was very young, and I loved it.
Yeah,
right?
it's awesome.
Then I like forgot about it. Right. And then I had a VHS tape of Aladdin, The Return of Jafar or whatever.
Shit.
I went to go put it on, and then I saw like as an older, I say like I was like 9, okay. And I just put it on to like, I would go to sleep watching VHS tapes all the time. And for whatever reason, like the stop motion in, like I guess any of those movies, but like Nightmare Before Christmas like weirded me out, and still to this day, I like most things that actually freak me out, like, or give me an unsettling feeling, is like things that involve like that form of stop motion. Something about the uncanny valley, I guess. I don't know, but it freaked me out when I was a kid. I'm gonna give a hot take though, just real quick. I want to say I think Corpse Bride is like way better.
Interesting.
Pretty early on in the movie, like when you notice everyone who's alive, it's like drab and gray, and then when they're dead and they go into like the underworld or whatever, it's like super happy and lively, and it's an interesting take on it, I guess.
You reminded me of something very specific that always used to get me, and it's kind of a soft spot, is waking up to something and not knowing what it is. Like, for example, and this wasn't mine, but I think this is the more shared experience, that Adult Swim would have really fucked up bumpers that would just air during the night, and like like specific people have like horror stories about like, oh yeah, I woke up and there was just this thing on the TV and I didn't know what the fuck it was, and it was an Adult Swim thing, and it was just like super creepy. There's like a fucking list on YouTube of like scariest Adult Swim bumpers, and to even have a list of that is such a specific thing that you wouldn't really think of offhand, but like that, the idea of that creeps me out and makes me never have to like, I'm glad I never watched that shit in the middle of the night, because yeah, I would have hated, that would have scarred me for life.
I mean, I feel like most of there were some that were like creepy, but there was a few that were like the really trippy ones that had, I can't remember the name of it. There was a fucking shit. What was it was like surrealist shorts that they would have on, and it wasn't like a bumper. It was an actual 15-minute show.
They had the infomercials too.
Yeah, they did, but there was one, I can't remember the name of it now, but there was one that was specifically made for high people, and they would play it at 4:20 a.m. And
oh, okay.
And it was like, you can watch them all on YouTube now.
It's the one where, doesn't it start with a deer in the field?
One of them does, yes.
Yeah, and then it runs, and then it gets all acid trippy.
Yeah, they do like data moshing and stuff. Yeah.
Sick. I love that.
Yeah, no, a lot of those are really cool, but a lot of them are like horror too. Yeah. Like there's like 7 of them, 7 episodes, and it wasn't made from one person. It was like submitted.
It's like a collage.
The dude who did Salad Fingers had something on there too. David Firth. Yeah, David Firth had a thing.
Did you know that David Firth is
shit.
signed to fuck, what was that label that Flying Lotus used to be on?
Oh, I think he's still on it.
Brain Feeder?
Brain Feeder, yeah.
Brain Feeder. Yeah, David Firth.
Yeah, I actually did know that because he's worked with Flylo. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
That Newgrounds connection.
Yeah, it is wild. It's crazy.
Salad Fingers was my shit in high school.
I love Salad Fingers.
Same here.
Salad Fingers, fucking...
It inspired me to make ambient music at the time.
I remember in high school, we would quote a lot of Weeble stuff. Did you ever watch any of those?
Vaguely remember that.
I just vaguely remember, but I used to.
Badger, mushroom,
yeah.
that shit.
Yeah, I for whatever reason, I remember like liking that stuff at the time, and now I look back on that whole era of like the repetitive animation thing, and like I don't like it anymore. Like violently. Like I don't know why.
Violently. He could have said aggressively, but he said violently.
Yeah.
So be careful what you say, Muse.
It's like the fucking this is my horse is amazing. I used to think that was like the funniest thing ever, and now I'm like, oh, I don't like this at all.
Yeah, I never thought it was good personally, but I don't want to sound like a hater.
How did y'all feel about You're the Man Now, Dog?
Oh, yeah. Do you know what that is?
I remember it.
Yeah, that was like its own website, right?
Yeah, that was its own separate thing.
But that was like the whole. I remember. Okay, I never was on YTMND or whatever it was. Like, but I would see stuff like, I remember like on Albino Black Sheep, they had stuff that was like that kind of thing. Like they had the mix them, mash them, put them in a stew, potatoes, that one from Lord of the Rings. Like that was one of the things I saw, and I remember liking it but it's weird. It feels like I was like 14 and it was just like anything on the internet would make me laugh. And that was kind of like that was the whole basis of You're the Man Now, Dog, right? Which is like random phrases, just kind of repetitive.
Yeah, because it wasn't even, the most you would get is a GIF, because you would just upload either a GIF or a JPEG, and it would just have text over it, and there would just be a sound accompanying it, and it would just loop infinitely.
Yeah, I think the first time I was exposed to it was Meat Spin.
Oh,
now you're a man. I don't know. I think the reason why it was the way that it was is like a natural progression of the internet and how we consume it. I think with the internet, it was like one of our first times where we were like, oh fuck, we could keep coming back for the fucking, that serotonin and the dopamine. Like I could keep like pressing the button and funny thing happen, right?
Yeah.
And it's like instant gratification.
Yeah, and it's like basically like TikTok is where what's coming now, where it's like obviously a lot better. You know, like you can
a lot more creative.
Yeah, like
sure.
you can look back on those days through rose tinted shades, but that content was god awful. Whereas today you have no shortage of like content at all, and so because of that, you know, like there's like various lanes. Whereas before, I don't think there was really a thing in terms of lanes. It was just like, okay, just make something that's like kind of funny, maybe. Good enough. Make another one. Make
Yeah.
another, and like the more we make, the more stuff there is out there. I remember when there was like not many videos on YouTube, you know?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
remember like running out of stuff to watch on YouTube because it's like there's just not much stuff for certain terms that you would look up. I remember when for hip hop there was nothing but music videos and like a handful of interviews.
Yeah, that was kind of
Wow.
it. It was a different thing because like, it was like I don't know, like we would go to YouTube for like in high school. I remember we had like a media cart in like our computer science class or whatever, and they would wheel it in, and then like at the end of the thing for the like 20 minutes we could just watch videos, and we just like watched the like Harry Potter the ticking sound or ticking noise video a lot, and like
I don't remember that one.
you don't remember the mysterious ticking noise?
I don't think I saw that. Was
It was
that
with
the
these-
puppet?
Yeah, that
Harry
was one with the
Potter?
puppets. Yeah, it wasn't
Oh,
that
okay.
funny, but like at the
I didn't
time,
watch
it
any
was.
of those because I didn't watch Harry Potter growing up, so I didn't get the references.
Oh, I see. Y'all remember Google Video?
I don't know.
That's what I used to use before YouTube was a thing.
I
So
don't think so.
it was like they used to have like the video button the way that it is now, but kind of. But that tab would bring you to like Google's own hub of videos. You just like you type in a search, and the videos would pop up. And I remember when the year San Andreas came out, us like every kid my age in the IT room would be looking up tricks and compilations of like tricks and things like that people would do on bikes in San Andreas, and we would just watch those on Google videos. I was just like, yo, this is so crazy. The internet in my school was way better than at home. I had
Oh,
dial-up.
yeah, same.
I had
Yeah.
dial-up for way too long.
Yeah, I dial up until I was like 15 or something like that.
Same, I think.
Yeah, and it was
way
like
too
always like I didn't want to be on too long because then people couldn't call.
Yeah.
But then I had a friend.
Yeah.
I remember I had a friend who had dial up, but they had two phone lines.
Yeah.
So like you could get on the one and just stay on the internet as long as you wanted, and then the other one you could use the phone. And I remember being like, wait, you can use the internet for like longer than 30 minutes at a time?
I remember I would like go on Newgrounds. I would look up 6 animations. I would tab them separately or open separate browsers for them. I don't remember if that's what I had to do back then. I don't think tabs existed yet.
Yeah.
I would do that, and I would go just spend my day outside doing things because I know none of those videos would be ready until like evening time.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
then by
god.
evening
yeah.
time, I would come around and I'd have like 6 animations I could watch over and over again.
Bro, that reminds me of this time. Okay, so like remember like LimeWire days?
I used to use BearShare.
Okay, BearShare was like
Oh, I forgot about BearShare.
yeah, but like my friend didn't have, because like I had a friend who was like on like Kazaa.
Oh, wow.
But
Yeah.
like he was like, don't get Kazaa or LimeWire. They're viruses, which I think they were. Or at least LimeWire had some kind of spyware or something associated with it.
Those were the two I used most, and yeah, they sucked.
Yeah, but we had like, he was like, you got to get this, and it was like WinMX or some shit.
Yeah.
And I had that,
Oh.
and I remember like being like, because he used to like download like music and then burn CDs for me because I was like, yo, I don't want to break the law. Like, I don't know. I was like, I thought I was gonna get in trouble for it. And then like my we got like better internet, like DSL or some shit. And I was just like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna fucking download WinMX, and I did, and it took so long to download music. I remember I downloaded the remix of Fat Joe and Terror Squad, the Lean Back, but it was like the Lil Jon remix, had Eminem on it and Mace.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mace, Eminem, and Little John. What a weird.
Yeah.
That's a grab bag.
Yeah, and then I downloaded it, and it took like 2 hours to download this one fucking thing because no one else was seeding it or whatever. And so I walked outside, went on a walk, and then I came back in, I downloaded it, and it was done downloading, and I was just like, damn, I'm a criminal. Like, I did it. I broke the law. I was like such a like goody two shoes. I was like, no, I'm not gonna. Well, I mean, I don't know. I thought that
I think it's cute,
I always thought that it was like some
but it's
shit.
definitely square.
But I always thought it was gonna be some shit where like one of these days, because I downloaded so much music after that, and I was like afraid one of these days a fucking cop was just gonna show up at the door and then be like, hey, y'all have to pay like a $500 fine, or because they used to say it was like up to $50,000 or something
Yeah.
crazy, and And
I
everybody
knew where I lived, there was like no way that was gonna happen.
Well, I mean, I knew that too, especially here. But I remember everybody, like my friend Will, he was like, "Yeah, my sister got caught doing that," and I was like, "What happened?" He was just like, "I don't know. I think she went to jail or something." And he just like made some shit.
I don't know.
Well, she was.
She might be home. I don't know.
Well, no, she was like not living with them at the time. But,
okay.
But like she was like an adult. But
all right.
yeah, I don't know. I thought that was funny. And I always wanted to ask her too, because I remember she came by one time when I was hanging out at his house, and I was gonna be like, "Yo, what happened?" You know, but I never did.
We were doing reviews for Going Off. We did this one. Oh, what the fuck is that guy's name? He did that. I don't fuck with you. Why am I blanking on his name?
Big Sean.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the album with that song on it, and this was before I had subscribed to Spotify. The only way I was listening to the albums to review on the show was to download them. So I downloaded the Big Sean song, and while I was at work, I got an email, and it was a notification that was just like, "We know you downloaded that Big Sean album."
Oh shit.
And it was like a little notification from like the internet provider, and it was just like, it was like a small warning. It was just like, how the fuck? What? So like that fucking scared me enough of like, okay, I'm not doing that shit anymore.
Yeah, turn to YouTube.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's funny
like
now. It's funny now because of like Spotify and like YouTube and stuff like that. Like the idea of like pirating an album is just like not really a thing.
Yeah, it seems like more trouble than it's worth almost, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's like you're saving, I'm sure, a little bit of money, but it's like so much time.
Yeah.
And like, how do people even pirate? Do people still, I guess torrenting is like still a thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and if there's something that's not available in streaming, then like I get it, right? Or like with movies sometimes, like if I have like Netflix, but I don't have Hulu, but I don't want nothing on Hulu, but a new movie comes out that I want on Hulu, I'll pirate that shit. I haven't done that in like years, but morally, like, fuck yeah, I'd do that.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I don't think this, I don't know. To me, I'm like, especially too, because like there's certain movies that I want to watch that are just straight up not on any streaming right now. I've been hankering to watch Surf Ninjas. I don't know if you remember. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, it's got a very young Rob Schneider being shitty in it. And
Yeah, it sure does.
yeah, and I love that movie when I was a kid, and I was like, I really wanted to watch it. It also has what's his name in it?
Was Seth Green in that one?
No, this is like way before then. There was I think
I'm getting it confused with a skateboarding movie.
no, I know what you're talking about, but no, God, it has a rapper in it too. The dude who did
Tone Loc.
Yeah, Tone Loc. Tone Loc's in it. Yeah, he has a song in it too, which I think is funny.
Of course he does. He has a song, I think, for everything that they actually cast him in.
Yeah, because he was on Fern Gully, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because he played the lizard on Fern Gully, and then he.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had a song in that. Maybe I'm tripping.
Didn't he have a song at the end of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective?
I think so. That's
course.
on brand.
Yeah, that really is.
I wonder what Tone Loc is up to right now.
It was a prerequisite. So it's like, okay, Ace Ventura, we have a whole ass transphobic gag in this movie. Let's get Tone Loc, who has a whole ass transphobic song, to be in it.
Wait, does he? Am I tripping? What song was that?
Funky Cold Medina, I think, it has a verse about picking up a woman, but she's got an Oscar Mayer wiener.
Damn, not the Oscar Mayer.
I get those two songs of his confused because they're very similar. Funky Cold Medina and Wild Thing.
Wild Thing, I remember hearing, because I had the like Monsters of Rap CD, you know, like.
Oh, we talked about that shit on the podcast. I had that too.
I love the idea of that song where it's just like he keeps like he's trying to have sex with this girl, he's having sex with her, then her mom busts in and he's like all like yo like they're both like, oh shit, oh no, you know, and then she's just like, yeah, I like to fuck too. And that's the end of the song. Like, that's the narrative, is that she was just kind of okay with it, and then also was like, by the way, I like fucking. Like, that's like.
I think, yeah, there was people were a lot more ignorant about a lot of that stuff. I think that's why a lot of the people who may have partaken in transphobic humor and media in the past don't necessarily align with those views anymore. You know, I'd say more often than not, people are kind of embarrassed, looking back on it, embarrassed by their ignorance, which I think is encouraging.
When we get requests for 90s rap albums, it's always kind of a crapshoot. It's like a minefield of, all right, we're going to get any slurs in this one? Let's see. And there almost always are at least one song that has a slur dropped in it. It's like, we were doing so good.
I think as long as you contextualize it, you know, to yourself, it's like, you know, yeah, it's not great, but it's also like they're not out, you know, there's a difference between someone using it for like a rhyme scheme in the early 90s because like people were whack with rhyme schemes and like that was just like a common like thing to call someone you disliked, you know? Like that versus someone who there are songs where they're actually homophobic, you know? There's like a difference between using homophobic language and being homophobic, you know what I'm saying? And I think and obviously it's a full spectrum of things, but I'd say there's at least those are at least two different versions of like what may seem like just like, oh, that these people are transphobes, but you can still differentiate the two. You know what I'm saying? It's more likely that the person who was using it not to be transphobic or not to be homophobic, people who use that kind of fucked up language back in the day, excuse me, they're more likely than not to have a capacity for reform. Whereas people who were openly homophobic or transphobic on the issues of homosexuality and trans rights, then I think it's a whole different thing. If they have strong opinions on that in the first place, then they're probably pretty brainwashed already, and it's a lot more difficult for those kinds of people to change because their circumstances have already made them homophobic and transphobic, and it's very unlikely that they're going to leave an environment that like fosters that in the first place. You know what I'm saying? They would need to like have a huge transformation in their lives. Just talking about like being pragmatic about like converting people from being ignorant about issues to being more open-minded. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between someone kind of being ignorant and someone being deeply brainwashed.
Yeah, like I think a good example of like the latter is like I love Lil Boosie coming up, and like Lil Boosie's like such a like violently transphobic and like homophobic person now. And it's kind of like I think one of the things that happens with people who are just kind of like, especially people who have like already made their money in like that, it's like they are put in positions where they're challenged on like their older content. And like you got certain types of people who will be like learn and grow from that, and then you have certain types of people who are just like, okay, no, I'm gonna be stubborn in this situation and double down. And like I don't know, I think that having a big platform like that, especially like him, where he was like on like Instagram lives, and he was like known for having wild ass Instagram lives, and people would always go and like watch, and then he would just like spew a lot of like super hateful shit.
It's insecurities, bro. It all comes from insecurities. It's like you said, like not even being able to go back on an idea you used to hold and instead doubling down. That comes from pride, not to sound like a Christian, right? But that comes from pride, and pride comes from being insecure. Yeah. Wanting to prove something, you know? So, yeah, it's definitely very disappointing when, like, there's people you're like, oh, this is cool, I like their music, or I like this person, and then, like, you know, unfortunately they go down a path that you're like, oh, man, like...
It's weird, too, because, like, I always just assumed, like, Lil Boosie was cool. You know what I mean? Like, I really liked his music, like, not just, like, the popular stuff, but I remember that whole thing, like, that whole album that had Zoom on it. Like, I don't remember the name of it now off the top of my head, but I remember being, like, before I ever heard him say anything on any issue ever, I was just like, no, this dude's, like, the fucking man, you know? Like,
he's like a hero in the South.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that's why it kind of, like, emboldens a lot of people who are kind of backwards or have, like, really, like, hateful views or just like views of like misunderstanding.
Sometimes people don't even have really strong opinions, but if they look to people that they fuck with who have strong opinions, oftentimes they kind of feed off of that, you know? Again, this is why I say people are like victims of their environments and circumstances, you know? Like a child isn't born homophobic, you know? It's like that shit is taught. So yeah, like it's tough to unteach.
You actually reminded me something when you had mentioned heroes and stuff like that, for me growing up, Weird Al was like a favorite of mine. I fucking loved his shit. And a mutual of mine on Twitter a couple days ago or yesterday quoted a song of his, and I was like, oh fuck, yeah, that's right. And I went and looked it up, and I'd forgot that he drops a slur in it, which is wild to think. It's like Weird Al saying a slur. What's that?
What year? I'm just curious. Not that it justifies it, but I'm curious.
The song came out, and I think it was 99 or 2000.
Okay. What,
it was
it
on
a
the same
racial
album.
slur or a homophobic slur? Or
I guess it would be a transphobic slur.
Okay.
I guess at the time, it wasn't seen that way, or it wasn't commonly known as being a slur.
Yeah.
So he didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So I was curious, and I was like, that's kind of a song he's like... It's kind of one of those like cult classic songs of his, so I know if he's still performing, like he's gonna perform it. So I was like, I wonder if he still says it.
No, I'm sure sure he censors himself.
He gets to the point of the song, he says it, then he goes,
it's some big fat hermaphrodite with a flock of seagulls haircut and only one nostril. I should probably stop here and apologize for using the word hermaphrodite. I realize it's considered a slur these days. Obviously, that's not my intention. You know, language is fluid. And when I wrote the song in the 90s, it was my impression, at least, that it was more of a technical medical term. Basically, all I'm trying to say here is this particular character just happens to have both male and female reproductive organs, as well as a flock of seagulls haircut, and one nostril. So anyway...
Yeah, no, that works. I feel like
good.
it's on brand for him too.
I have had songs, you know, way over a decade ago, where I have used homophobic slurs in my lyrics, and in particular, you know, when you're dissing people, looking back on it, it's like, damn, so many other words could have rhymed, but my my skill set was so limited. I kept like. Not kept. I actually didn't use it that many times, but there's been a few times where I definitely used it earlier in my career. I mean, I was a kid, but I look back on it and, you know, I know that I never felt like I was using it. I never used it against like, someone whom I suspected was gay or queer, you know? It was always like, oh, me versus another, you know, cis hetero fella, and we're like breaking each other down. Just like I think in time, terms like pussy will also become vastly outdated, like and shit like that. You know, there's a lot of like bitch is another one that's really tough. That one's really difficult to root out of my lexicon because it's like it just sounds good. You know, like when you like. When you hit yourself and you're like, oh, son of a... it really just hits like nothing else, you know?
Yeah. It's got some sting to it.
It's got some sting to it.
It's also just like sonically like a very like hard hitting word.
And it's a nice filler word for some flows and things like that. There's a lot of reasons why, as just like rappers in general, like that word is like, ooh, like interesting to us, because to us it's like a color of paint that we can use, you know? Right. But we don't have to use that one. But I wouldn't go around, I don't police others, and when others use like say bitch, hoe, slut, shit like that these days, it doesn't make me cringe too hard. I mean, sometimes it makes me cringe. It depends on the context.
I think the context really matters.
The line really matters.
Because like for me, it's like because we had the conversation about it, and then like I stopped. Like there was a few songs where I would say bitch, like, but it was stuff that I'd released like before the conversation.
Same. I haven't used it in 3 years.
And so I was like, I'm gonna stop doing it at least when I'm rapping, because it's like that's where people are actually listening. You know what I mean? But like for me it was like really hard because like there was a lot of like I have like a lot of like life's a bitch references. Like I would say that a lot, but I do think that for me it's like sometimes I don't know, sometimes it's like I'll hear like a rapper like refer to a woman in a bit as a bitch in a song, and whereas before it really wouldn't bother me, or I might think it was like, oh, he's being out of pocket a little bit or whatever, and now I'm just kind of more like
yeah, you
know, I feel like that's a sometimes, and I understand everyone has like their own the people around them sometimes have their own like what's the word, boundaries and stuff like that, but to me it just feels a little fucked up. But I'm not gonna
I'm not gonna police people. I'm gonna live the way I want the world to be. You know, I'm gonna lead by example, or I'm gonna practice what I preach, but I don't expect everyone else to do it. And also I feel like it's not as culturally relevant. But like homophobic slurs, it is more culturally relevant currently, at least, right? Our understanding of like, hey, it was really normalized at one point to say things are gay or use like the F slurs, but like it's very insensitive, and people who are already on the back foot were basically oftentimes on the receiving end of these jokes, and punching down is never cool. And I think people will eventually realize that with words like bitch, hoe, etc., right? Yeah. But I guess what the point I was making is like, I give myself leeway, not that it's up to me, but I give the child me that was using the homophobic slurs a little bit of leeway because I know the context. I know that it was never coming from an awful place. It was literally everyone was using that word around me, and we are creatures, we're pack animals, we assimilate, right? And when you're younger, oftentimes you assimilate without fully questioning things. Sometimes you just kind of mirror people.
I don't even think it's like even when you're younger. I mean, I think nowadays, like there's like, especially with like visibility on the internet and stuff, and like these conversations are happening, and like you're seeing these conversations. Whereas like when you're younger, you don't question that. Like, you know, like I had like a gay friend growing up, and like it never felt like well, I wasn't like using slurs around him or anything like that, but it always felt like they just kind of like rolled with whatever people were saying, and they never like took it personally. So I always just like assumed like, oh, like people are just like sensitive or like looking for it. Like when I was way younger, I used to think like that, and never thinking about the fact that like, oh, it's like kind of like bullying someone indirectly, even if you're not talking about them, like just in the situation.
Because
you know
schools don't teach you like anything outside of like not only the gender binary, but also like the traditional, at least when we were kids, the traditional male-female relationship, right? You get taught sex at school, right? But gay sex wasn't taught at school.
Right.
Why not though? You know, like why wasn't gay sex taught? And
it was like
that.
almost
So,
like everything was like an outlier, right? Because like, I mean, I think for a lot of people, like sex education was just like, oh, like don't get someone pregnant. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, and then they were like, well, if gay people can't get pregnant, so let's just skip over that.
And I think that's a huge problem because first of all, like I hate this like breeder mentality of approaching biology, right? And when in reality, like sex is not just for breeding, you know? Sex is for having a good time, and we're not the only animal that does have a good time. So it's, and that is studied, and this is mentioned, these things are covered, but never from like a non, you know, like cis hetero perspective. And I think honestly it's things like that accumulate that in the long term do a lot of damage, and like made things like normalizing homophobic language in the first place so easy, because had you placed yourself in the shoes of people who are gay earlier on in your life, you'd probably be more sympathetic than to like refer to anyone by homophobic slurs.
For sure.
But if it's not present in your life, if you're a heteronormative person who's growing up with like no homosexual representation around you, and homosexuality is not covered at school, then it becomes like this foreign, alien, other thing, and you're not like it's a lack of exercising sympathy towards people who are not like you. Empathy and sympathy are things that you need to develop like a muscle, you know, and you need to train it. And I think I think exposure is honestly the best way to approach it. You know, this is why I think like usually cultural melting pots tend to be the least racist places, right? Because of the exposure to each other.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, and you sort of see the things you have in common. And I think at school, obviously, there's only a certain level of degree that you can control in terms of exposure, but at the very least you could do is cover a broader spectrum of gender expression, as one issue, and sex in general, all of sex as sexual intercourse as another issue. You know, do not just skim gender entirely. I think gender didn't get addressed at all for me at school. Like the idea of gender as an expression, right?
Not at all, no.
It was just an identifier, kind of like just like tick A or B type shit. Yeah. And then sex was just like the heteronormative stuff. And so when you start using homosexual slurs, you realize that, like, it takes you a while to realize that it's like, so when people come to you, they're like, hey, don't use that word. You're like, come on, why are you being so sensitive? I know I'm not being homophobic. And yet the kids who were growing up with friends who were gay were like way more often likely than not to stop using homophobic slurs way earlier on. All the kids I knew who stopped using homophobic slurs, all the like young adults I knew, grew up knowing someone who was gay, you know?
Yeah.
And so like, and because I didn't, it took me or at least definitely did, everyone does, but closeted, right? So sure. I didn't get real exposure. So I never really had to think about those things until like I sat down and made myself think about these things. But even that's a privilege. Something triggered that realization in my life that made me go and dig and go down that rabbit hole and figure things out for myself. Even that I look at as like, that was a privilege. I was lucky that I was in that position. Not everyone gets to be in that position. And I guess because I approach things like that, I'm a lot more patient with people who are ignorant. And I like to differentiate them, because I think it's unfair to throw everyone as like either a good guy or a bad guy. Like if I want these people to understand that gender is not a binary, I can't look at them in such a binary
like
way
as
myself.
An other, like, yeah.
I feel like, I can't make them into an other.
I do think that it's kind of a complicated situation. I'm not saying that I know the answers to things, right? But like, I do feel like having this kind of like opposition look at people who are just like maybe just misguided doesn't really get, like, they're just going to double down harder. And I guess that's not like our responsibility to like fix that. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that like being patient with people and trying your best to empathize with them in the same way that you hope that they empathize with others is a step in the right direction of like a positive change. You know what I mean? I think
also it's like, what can you do? You kind of have to remind yourself like, okay, you can lead by example within your own personal life, remove the slurs, you know, lead by example, talk that talk, walk that walk. And of course, talk to your family, talk to your friends, try to like, you know, if you can, like ignorance can be cured, you know, it can be tended to. And I don't expect everyone to who is quote unquote woke to go and fix everyone. Like, I don't think that's, but I feel like if you think you can and you have the capacity to do so and you want to do it, you know, like I do it. I do it all the time. I talk about all manner of things. I like talking about heavy topics. I love talking politics. I love talking gender expression. And I also don't shy away from admitting that like I was a flawed person. No, that I feel like even that's not right. I was an ignorant person who has had holes in their understanding of the world. And because of that lack of perspective on a lot of things, I like behaved or said things in a way that were misinformed. And I look back on that as, you know, kind of like if you see a photo of yourself and like your balls are like peeking out the shorts, you're like, that's unfortunate.
I hate it when that happens.
That's unfortunate, but but hey, that picture's done. It's taken. You know, I can't change that picture now. So I think, but also like I don't expect others to do the same. Although I say like I try to be patient. I don't expect everyone to be patient. Especially imagine if you are someone who's been bullied and on the receiving end about a particular issue incessantly, and you have like maybe a lot of other mental health issues around that, and like abandonment issues and rejection issues, all these things, these are obstacles that are going to prevent people from like necessarily being open to the idea of being charitable with people who have often hurt them, or the archetype of person who is like consistently historically.
I don't even think that, like, even taking out the like any kind of like mental hang-ups around the thing, I think that it's a normal reaction to like see patterns in people and like things that have hurt you and stuff like that. Like, I think that
it's PTSD, I think.
Well, for sure. I mean, like, especially like anytime, like, especially growing up in a time like the 90s, early 2000s, where it was just like almost like everything was kind of against you. I feel like it's normal to just immediately be like, okay, fuck these people totally. You know what I mean? Like, when like
but they're victims, you know, like at the end of the day, these, like even the people who are ignorant, most of the time they're victims and fellow peasants, you know. It's like, that's why I can distinguish someone who's like an old kind of racist dude living in bumfuck nowhere versus someone who is like a grifter, like a Matt Walsh or a Ben Shapiro. The difference there is like one is ignorant and the other is
like a calculated,
deliberate
a thing to keep people hate tweeting about
keep
you,
people apart, and also like, you know, the politicians and the government, like the government is supposed to protect us as a people. That's all of us. That includes people who are not heteronormative cis people, and yet it fails to do so. We pay them the money, we do everything we can, and yet they fail to do that. So there's a lot of systems that are failing us, but at the very least, I hope over time that we learn to see that we're not each other's enemies. It's like the corrosive and toxic systems in place, and it's also just fucked up how not only are these systems corrosive, but these people come in, these grifters come in and try to misdirect us and like make us fight each other over and over and over again, you know, when the reality is that idiot who thinks all trans people are the reason their life's falling apart, like, that person's misled, but also his life is falling apart, and like all the people he's watching are telling him it's because like you know, oh man, they're making all this trans shit, they're pushing that onto our kids, and that's the reason everything's falling apart. And that's like, everyone needs a scapegoat, everyone needs a reason for why things are going wrong. And so these grifters are deliberately sliding in and abusing people's ignorance, you know. And it's always like the weakest people in the worst kinds of situations. Of course you have like your upper middle class white racists too, don't get me wrong, and a lot of liberal racists too, but I'm specifically talking about like, you know, the poorest of the poor, who seem to be incredibly divided in this country.
Like people that feel disenfranchised, even if they're even if their situation doesn't line up with like what they think a disenfranchised person is.
People with like awful material conditions, essentially, right?
Yeah, I mean, I see that a lot in like growing up in like a small town in South Carolina. You see like a lot of like poor white people who are like super duper racist and very like almost like xenophobic in their own town, if that makes any sense. Like outsiders, New Yorkers are a problem
for
sure. I mean, I heard that all the time. It was like, all the fucking Yankees are always, oh, don't listen to him, he's a fucking Yankee, he's just gonna talk, and, you know, or whatever the thing is. And it's crazy now that like I've like traveled a bit and seen things and seen like the world a bit, and I'm like it's then coming back, you'll be like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you know,
when I was growing up in New Jersey, I had I would say a wildly misguided misconception of what people in the South was like. I would generalize also. So when I moved down here when I was like 12, 13, I didn't get as much pushback from Southerners, but I had a lot of like, you know, that ingrained what media will tell you about Southerners being, you know, less intelligent or being like they're all racist, when it's like I saw plenty of racism growing up in New Jersey. Like, there's no way that the South is going to be like, not to say that there is not racism in the South, but it's not exclusive. The prejudice against Yankees is essentially, y'all think you are better than us. And the Yankees are like, we think we're better than you. And it's like, huh.
I never really analyzed it, but it is kind of funny. Like,
it's the same thing.
well, I do think too, like
Same
there's
with
like,
Parisians and South of France people. Like, it's the exact same relationship.
oh yeah,
South
for
of France
sure.
people hate Parisians. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, it is the same idea, I think. But there is a lot of stuff too that like you'll see. I don't even think like necessarily to say that the damn Yankees think they're better than us, but like they'll kind of. I think it's a lot of times like it'll be people will come down and then see that we've been, especially in like small towns, kind of like not changing with the rest of the world. You know, and then be like, what? Like, not even like political issues or anything like that. Like, it'll be like, why is there no bus?
Having the gay friend, I'm going back a bit, but I'm going to work my way forward. Having the gay friend and feeling like it's an indirect kind of pressuring by like not being as supportive in that moment, I think was pretty crucial for me, not having the visibility of other queer people. So that made it super hard for me because that came out in my own use of regrettable language at a young age, not so much in like the age of like YouTube, but like way back when. And a lot of that was, well, all of that was internalized homophobia because there weren't queer people on TV to relate to. There weren't queer people around me to relate to.
So like, what's wrong with you then, right? Like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, there's something wrong with me, which means there must be something wrong with them also. So it came out in a kind of like a resentment, but I wasn't really processing that because your brain, you're not processing that kind of complex thing at that young of an age that, oh, I'm feeling this way, I'm saying these things because I'm feeling like there's something wrong with me because of the social pressures. So when you do meet somebody else, well, I don't want to say but when I met somebody else that could have potentially been gay or something, it was very easy for me to, and I'm going to preface all of this super regrettably, almost try to focus the attention away from me. And it's like, oh, well, like, so I would join in on gay jokes and stuff like that because it was easier for somebody else to take the brunt of that attention than to possibly have to deal with any of it myself. And I was reminded of that even when into like high school, when you could see somebody potentially be that lightning rod to kind of take it away from you. I would latch onto that opportunity. But what Bill was saying about with friends and not talking about it in school, the teachers were doing as much of a harm by not talking about gay relationships because, I mean, first of all, how much like AIDS prevention could we have done if we would have talked about non-traditional gay couples and gay sex in schools?
But also, how do you normalize people? Like, if you completely just ignore a type of people in your education, like,
then
what are you supposed to take away?
With them.
Yeah, it's like, oh, is it like Voldemort? You're not supposed to talk about it, right? Like,
yeah. So how else is that supposed to make you feel after a while? There was something Rav mentioned that I'd lost track of.
Yeah, I talked a lot. I'm sorry.
You talked a lot on a podcast? It's kind of fucked up, dude.
Yeah, I know.
That's not what podcasts are for.
That's true.
You gotta sit your ass down and listen.
We all just sit down and listen to the listener thing.
Silence. What do you think, listener?
This is a mental dialogue between us and the off-goers.
Yeah.
This is a back and forth.
I was talking to my friend Lex a year ago about gender and things like that. And by the end of the conversation, she said, well, that makes you non-binary. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm non-binary then. And she recommended at the time that I tweeted about it. And I remember I had like mixed feelings about it because I didn't want to make this about me. But she explained it to me. It's like, it's not. That's the point. It's like, there's kids that are going to see you say that, and they're going to feel more like it'll be easier for them to accept themselves if they're non-binary, or if they're queer, or if they're like anything but what the norm, quote unquote, is, you know? Like if they see that someone they think is cool and awesome is like them, it's easier for them to imagine themselves as like thriving as themselves within this life, you know, because they can see someone else do it. And so I was like, oh, I get it. And so I posted it, and of course, as expected, there were like 2 or 3 posts that said who cares, but over 100 people like thanking me, you know.
Yeah,
and they were like that was important for
anytime when it's like somebody you look up to, and then like you can relate further through any kind of thing like that, you know what I mean? That's really awesome, you know what I mean? And like even like down to like, I had a conversation one time, a fan hit me up, and this was years ago, and they were like, yo, you should put your pronouns in your bio. And at the time I didn't really like think about it, because I was like, I'm like he, him, cis white male kind of. I didn't really like feel a need to put that out, because I was like, okay, well,
yeah, because
you know,
on a subconscious level you're like, hey, I'm the default, why do I need to precise it?
Exactly. And then like I remember being like I'm not against doing that. I answered the fan, I was just kind of like, I'm not against doing that, but like, why do you want me to do that? Why specifically are you asking me to do it? And he was just, or they, I don't remember their gender, but they were just like, well, like it makes it like, it was like a lot of people look up to you, and it makes it less, it normalizes that for everyone, even if you don't feel like you care, because like I don't really care about my pronouns like that. I don't think about them, you know. Yeah. But like to a lot of people, that's like a huge part of their identity, and like a part, you know. And it was just kind of like, and I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's a privilege. It's another form of white type of privilege.
Exactly.
You know?
I never even sort of grasped that at the time. And I remember not like I was in opposition to it, but I was just like scratching my head. I was like, why would you?
No, this is the same reason why people are like in opposition to like dropping the F slur and other things, because they're like, I don't get it. People like me use it all the time, and we know it's not bad. And it's like, yes, but you have to remind yourself, you live in a white supremacist patriarchy, right? Yeah. So with that, there comes context. So this is why it's important to not revert to defaultism. I don't know if that's even a word, but you do know what I'm saying? Like not
powers that mentality.
Yeah, just thinking sure. Like taking that like your position like as privileged for granted. I think don't be guilty about it, obviously. I think that's the problem with a lot of liberal people is that they kind of resort to guilt, but it's not productive. It's not about being guilt. It's about just holding yourself to account.
It also turns it back to a you conversation.
Yeah, exactly. White guilt is a manifestation of racism, in a sense, you know? It's like you thinking that you're feeling bad for yourself.
All this conversation that doesn't have anything to do with, where do I fit in this?
Yeah. I feel real bad about it. So does that excuse me from like, you know, or does that absolve me from this guilt that I feel? But most people who have white guilt in the first place are also just like, they have a lot of loopholes or gaps in their knowledge and understanding. And the only way we're going to be able to fill these holes for each other is by talking, is through communication. I don't mean like podcasts, although I'm sure it serves some benefit.
Podcasting will save the world.
But I mean like literally talk to your Uber driver next time, you know, like talk to your waiter, talk to maybe like one homeless person every once a month or something. I don't know. Like reconnecting with people, I think is important. That always restores faith in me, because in reality, like people aren't awful. Not everyone. The average person is dumb, but not awful. And I love people, and I care about people, and I'll protect them. And I think you gotta be the change you want to see. So that you hold yourself to account, and don't push people who are already in opposition to us further away, you know? Like it's only gonna set us back as a people. All, when I say people, you know, not like the 1% who own the world and all the means to the world, the actual people. Us fighting among ourselves when our material conditions overall are waning as time goes on is it's very frustrating, you know.
I think it comes down to the internet isn't everything also, of like looking at how being someone who is exploring their gender fairly regularly over the past couple years, and I say this almost as a joke, but it's just kind of my way of making light of it, I guess. As soon as I started to transition was exactly when everything seemed like it started to hit, like all the shit started to hit the fan. Like, before that, I didn't really, like, that's why I decided to transition when I started. Because, like, I forget who said it on TikTok, but they were talking about people who transition later in life and they have that feeling of regret of like, God, all that lost time. You know, man, I could have been myself all this time. You only start to transition when you feel the safest. And that's exactly what happened with me, I think, because I was talking with people who were supportive and it built up that support system of like, yeah, you know what, I think I can do this. And right at that moment was when all the attention of like every grifter was like, we're gonna make them our fucking boogeyman now. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, this sucks. Now it's fucking my battle. This is like, it wasn't before. It's like, I cared, obviously, and I was supportive, but it was a different kind of feeling that now all of a sudden it's like, wow, like that fucking, the cannon's pointed at you kind of feeling.
Oh, by the way, Scaring the Host Volume 1 is dope.
Yeah, what I was gonna say, listen, before we transitioned, pardon the pun, to the other discussion, there was one other thing I was gonna mention, and this is going way back. But remember when I mentioned Adult Swim bumpers?
Oh yeah.
In the same vein as that, there was and I bring it all back because while we were talking about it, I was like, this is a sick segue because we're talking about things that scare us, and then we're going to be talking about scaring the host.
Hell yeah.
This is genius. But
We fucked it up.
It slipped away, but it's fine.
We could edit this.
Bill, when you were talking about going to sleep watching TV, I would usually go to sleep listening to music, and I would just put my stuff on shuffle. And what's really annoying about CD rips and downloading MP3s or whatever is that bonus tracks just kind of get lumped in with your regular tracks. So if there's a last song on an album you really like, that song on your MP3 player is going to be 15 minutes long now because it's also going to have that bonus cut.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember just waking up in the very middle of the night because there was a song at the end of a Tool album that we just had this random bunch of stuff, and there was just like a whole bunch of creepy kind of non sequitur stuff. But that's a very big trigger for me, is the not knowing what something is. So like, I guess that kind of might go back to the Gumpy thing of just like not understanding what was going on in that cartoon. But like, if like, have y'all seen the Max Headroom incident?
Yes.
What?
Oh, you would love that.
That kind of thing. What's that?
I was Rav didn't know what it was, and I was like, oh, you would love that.
Tell me.
Oh, okay. So here's what happened. Back in the day, I guess it was easier to pirate television.
Yeah.
And someone hijacked I think it was a PBS, or it was like a local station, I think. And they hijacked during an episode of Doctor Who, and it was just this guy.
Yes, I saw this on a YouTube video. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow,
it's
sounded like a
that
boomer
kind of
saying
thing. And there's no way to explain it. You don't know what the fuck it is, and then it's just gone. That's the kind of shit that creeps me out more than anything.
Oh, I love that kind of shit, though. It is creepy.
See, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I like creepy shit in general. I feel like so desensitized now. I remember when I was a kid. Y'all remember, was it the Pain Olympics?
Oh yeah,
Oh
BME
my
Pain
God.
Olympics.
BME Pain Olympics. I almost said BLM. I was like, that's not it.
BLM. Yeah.
That's just everyday struggle for
Yeah,
non-white people, for black people. Yeah, I think honestly, that was like the first time when I saw something that really stuck with me. Because prior to that, I remember when I was like in 2003, I was 11 and a kid in class showed me like Happy Tree Friends. And I remember that kind of sticking with me, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
fuck," you know, like, damn, the way they brutally murdered all these cute animals.
All my friends just thought that was funny.
I thought that shit was funny, but I remember some shit like kind of being like, dude, when he was gargling on his own fucking eyeball, that was kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
That stuff
Right?
did disturb me too.
Yeah, and then like, so the next one was, what was the thing I mentioned before Happy Tree Friends?
Oh, Pain Olympics.
Pain Olympics. That's the one where I
never
remember
seen
for like
that.
2 weeks straight. I remember just going to school on the bus and going back home, and every now and then, it's just like in my head, the image of like the cock and balls being like chopped off would like pop up, and I remember being like, "Damn it, I will never be able to rid my brain of it."
It was fake.
Oh, that sucks.
It was fake.
Yeah, it
confirmed.
turned out, but I only found out it was fake after it had already traumatized me. I found
Yeah.
out it was fake more than 10 years later.
Yeah. If it makes you feel
not all of
any,
it was fake, was
if I think the all the dick and balls stuff was
the
fake.
dick and balls was fake,
But if it makes you feel any better, that inspired like a whole thing of people doing that.
Yeah, so there's that. So the idea of that happening and everything was kind of like wild to me. And now I realize I'm kind of dissonant. I've seen people die, and like nothing really haunts me like
Right?
nothing haunts me the same way no more. Like the things that haunt me are like small mistakes that I've made, like misspoke to someone, or like a thing that I said 20 years ago that I wish I could go
Yep.
back and like explain, or like when someone dies in your life and you never got closure on something. You wanted to like
Yeah.
apologize for something.
Yeah,
or
That's
for
way
sure.
scarier than
Yeah.
a fake dick and balls getting
yeah, that
chopped
shit
off.
stinks.
Yeah,
for
I think
sure.
that gore stuff. I don't know. Like all my friends used to go on like Nothing Toxic back in the day, and we would see people. I mean, like kind of like live leak type stuff when we were in high school
yeah.
of people dying and stuff, and it was like we would look it up in the fucking school classroom. And,
Damn.
Yeah, people
and-
were doing that at school, my school too.
Yeah, and
I
it was
fucking
like
hated that
nuts.
shit.
And like, don't get me wrong, like I didn't like it, but like it was kind of like this, like like watching.
look away.
Yeah, exactly. It was like watching a train or a car accident or something. It was like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen next?
You know it's gonna hurt you to watch. You know it's better not to watch, but you can't help.
But it's like weird because like my mom was like super duper like, hey, like don't play Mortal Kombat. When I was a
Oh,
kid.
wow.
Like she was like super duper like that'll desensitize you, which is like kind of bullshit now looking back at it because it was so cartoony and stuff.
Yeah.
But
I was
like
playing it since I was like 2 or 3, and the first words I spoke in English were "finish him." Just, dead ass. That's a fun fact. Anyway, go ahead, Bill.
but
Oh shit.
I think the one thing is like none of that actually desensitized me or any kind of way because it was like the separate thing. But I do think seeing fucked up shit happen on the internet did desensitize me a lot.
For sure. Yeah, same here.
yeah.
After like the Pain Olympics stuff, like my threshold changed in terms of what like I could stomach.
For sure.
Yeah, it
Wow.
pushed the bar way up, which sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. It does suck.
I get the 1,000-yard stare now. Thing.
Yeah, yeah. So scaring the hose.
Scaring the
sorry,
hose.
you were gonna say something.
I was gonna prolong it even longer.
No, keep going. I'm with it. I'm here for you.
So I probably would have forgot about it if you didn't mention Happy Tree Friends, but there were two flash things, and actually I was gonna mention this back when we were talking about fucking
Newgrounds.
salad fingers,
Salad
which
fingers,
also
yeah.
it was weird. It creeped me out, but I still enjoyed it,
Same.
and like I had to watch more of it.
Yeah, it was cozy.
Was Homestar Runner was a big one for me.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh man, I was expecting either no reaction or like an over the top. So like it's like, wow, I can't relate to that. I was obsessed with that shit. But
No,
the other thing,
I wasn't obsessed with it, but I remember I got like an iPod video back in the day, and
yeah.
that was one of the things that you could just download for free on the iPod or the iTunes store was like those videos, and so I would download them.
Really?
Yeah, you could download like I had the one with like Trogdor on it.
okay,
Yeah, I
had the Metal Gear Awesome. That was
Oh,
one of the,
yeah.
that was one of the 3 animations you could download off of
Wow.
Newgrounds onto your PSP back in the day.
Yep.
that is nuts.
My friend had a Metal Gear Awesome shirt.
Isn't it crazy? I used to watch Metal
shit.
Gear Awesome over and over on my PSP. Damn, that's it's so weird how like nowadays like I'm watching like a TikTok or YouTube short while doing something, playing a video game at the same time. Well, it's just like it's great. Back then I would just rewatch this thing over and over again.
Well, there was a sense of
and
like
now I'm buds with Aaron. That's crazy too.
Yeah, that is crazy. But like another one of those that was like that was that video that he did, the Dragon Ball Z in a nutshell.
Yeah, Napster days.
Yeah, and I had no idea that was him.
That was one of the earliest like things to go viral on the internet. And he was 14.
Yeah,
That's so crazy to think.
But I think because of the lack of, it's like you like connected because like you didn't have options.
Yeah.
And it's like you download something and then you would just watch it over and over again, and all your friends would like quote it, be like, "Yo, watch that video again. Let's watch that again." You know what I mean? All the time, because it was just like what you. And it's funny because like, I don't know, maybe it was because I was a kid, but I just remember like enjoying life so much more than.
Because you were a kid, yeah.
Probably.
It's definitely through that lens of being a kid. Because the reality is, this is the one thing I do want to say, especially to our fans, because we have a lot of fans who love it when we cover nostalgic topics, right? Nostalgia is something we like to take trips down into, but nothing's perfect now, obviously, but it never was. Life's always been miserable, and it still is. So there's that. Just wanted to say that.
That's good. It's a good takeaway.
But I mean, and that sounds really negative, but I hope it cultivates a want for change. You know, it cultivates like, I need to break the cycle. The reality is life has been awful. It's been better for some than others, but it's, for the most part, for most people, life is suffering, and it has been historically always, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's all, I guess. But I don't even know how we got on that. I guess I just wanted to make sure I clarified the nostalgia is great, but things were never perfect.
Well, I'm gonna throw one more imperfect bit of nostalgia your way before we possibly talk about this album for maybe a whole 5 minutes. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh yeah.
Up to you. Whatever you want.
Another thing I was very big into in high school, regrettably, and I don't know if either of y'all remember this, was Foamy the Squirrel and Ill Will Press.
No.
I don't know that one.
No, I don't.
Okay, so essentially, and I don't know if either of y'all were, I guess y'all wouldn't have been, know of what I was doing before reviews, but I was basically just doing rant videos on YouTube, which is not good, and none of them aged well, and that's why none of them are online anymore. But basically what Foamy was he was this cartoon, this flesh squirrel who would pop up with angry eyebrows, and he would just rant for like 3-4 minutes about some random topic about society or whatever.
Hell yeah.
And it's all of it is just like boomer takes, but presented to like angsty teens. And
Perfect.
Yeah, so naturally I fucking related to this shit because I was a fucking angsty teen and thought I was better than everybody for whatever reason. And I randomly went back and I was like, no way are they still doing things. Like, I was watching these fucking things in high school and I graduated in 2005, so there's no way that they're still doing this shit.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Not only that, not only was there a brand new Flash cartoon, well, I guess YouTube now, of the same squirrel posted within the week.
Oof.
Talking about like depression being something you could just work through.
Oh no.
Oh, I love that. Bless you.
I watched the whole fucking thing just so I could get a grasp of like, okay, where is this going? Is this gonna turn around? It didn't really. It wasn't good.
I mean,
But
I want to. I don't want to cut in too much, but I just want to. Did you expect Foamy the Squirrel to have like a
a redemption arc?
Yeah, like any kind of character progression?
You know,
Do people watch it? Like, does it get views?
not like it did. No.
Yeah.
It maybe had like a couple thousand.
I'm Googling Foamy the Squirrel just to see what it looks like. Hold on.
Yeah, I think you need to see Foamy, yeah. You need to see what Foamy the Squirrel looks like.
Let's see here. Oh, I remember this. I never watched these videos, but I've seen.
Oh, you're so lucky.
Yeah, I've seen this. This is like very. Oh, this is like a certain brand of like internet edgy nerd thing.
It definitely was that try-hard edgelord culture for sure.
For sure. I'm seeing a lot of the girl here is scantily clad, and a lot of the Google images too, whoever the girl is.
Yeah, Jermaine. We actually
Jermaine.
talked about Jermaine on a recent video we'd filmed for the YouTube channel of just how she was always the butt of the jokes because Foamy at his core was also kind of misogynistic, go figure. And after a while, they just, as a joke, like fed into fan service, and they're like, we're gonna give Jermaine big tits and make a joke about it. But we're totally just doing it for fan service, and it's not a joke.
No, for sure. Like the person, yeah, the first image, she's got massive milkers on her. So,
But for the first year or two, they were not present. So,
well, I'm glad
that
that this is Foamy the Squirrel. Have you seen this before?
No, I'm sorry I had to step out. I'm having like a little allergic reaction,
Oh,
so I
I'm
wanted
sorry,
to
you
blow my
good?
nose. Yeah, I'm good.
allergic to squirrels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look at that. Oh, damn, I've seen that, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, I've never watched it either.
God,
It looks cool.
I was the only one who was drawn to the siren song of this edgy squirrel. If the angry squirrel isn't enough for you, we also got the emo boy character who's most definitely played by a middle-aged man complaining about things, so that's also pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something for everybody,
Yeah, fun
which
for the
could
whole
possibly
family.
be said about scaring the host.
Yes. It's,
Something for everybody.
What a transition you just did.
That is great.
Look,
Masterful
the
segue.
scaring us thing fell through. I needed a fallback segue.
You did good. You saved it.
yeah, you
Hey,
saved
that's
it.
what I'm here for. It's scaring the hose. It's JPEG Mafia. You think you know him, and Danny Brown.
Daniel.
I don't have a play on words for him.
Stop. Yeah, that's our.
That's his little ad lib. Sorry.
That's yeah.
Oh yeah. So with the other combos that we kind of saw coming, or were always like, oh shit, what if? Like I remember for a while there, once RC and I discovered Czarface, we were like, yo, if we got the Czarface MF Doom album, and then we finally did, and it wasn't as good as we thought it was gonna be, but. Or like when we saw the Ghostface and
Weren't you on that
Czarface.
album, by the way?
We were.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
But out of all of those, like, I know there's some other ones that they talk about, like, oh, you know, we're never going to get this mashup between these two people. I never expected a JPEG Danny album, but once I heard it was coming, was immediately like, oh yeah, that makes total sense, and I couldn't fucking wait for it.
Yeah, I was never surprised because of like the Bruiser Brigade connection and just like because I keep abreast of a lot of the stuff that happens within that level of underground hip hop, you know, where Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia find themselves. So I think that's why I kind of expected it,
I will
especially
say-
because they're aligned.
I will say, like, it makes sense for me, but I thought it was gonna be one of those things, like oh. Like, yeah, we're gonna do this album, and then it's like never gonna come out.
Oh, you thought it was going to be one of those things.
I
I
thought it-
didn't
yeah.
because Peggy's so prolific, and I knew he was going to handle the production, so he was going to make it work. But to me, yeah, it made sense. They're both like the two 4chan rappers. You know what I mean? Like, it's like it was bound to happen.
And I guess after, like, I don't know how y'all felt, but I personally was a little, I don't want to say let down. I'm just going to say the last couple Peggy projects, or not, actually the last one not so much, but the, what was the one? All My Friends.
All my heroes are cornballs.
Yeah, that one I was like, it didn't hit me as hard because it's not what I was expecting.
Both of the last two projects were like 10s for me personally.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I hold them. Maybe okay, maybe 10s is pushing it, but at least 9s because they're. I love those albums, and they're all different too. I like that. All my heroes are cornballs is a lot less heavy than his other stuff. It's more ethereal and like R&B.
Yeah, I think that for whatever reason, like I don't return to cornballs as much. I like it a lot, but like LP I really liked. Like
LP
I was
I love
like
a lot, too.
I was like super duper into, and not that I dislike cornballs. Like it was just kind of like one of those things that just didn't resonate with me the same.
I see. I returned to that one the most out of all Peggy albums.
Yeah.
Personally,
but I really liked LP a lot, and then I actually like this one like the most out of anything. That,
this was awesome.
That like possibly Danny's ever done, and also possibly that JPEG's ever done.
Yeah.
I felt like this was the callback of what I really liked about like Veteran that I was kind of wanting since then. But yeah, like I'll parrot what Bill was saying, that it didn't exactly resonate with me. Cornballs didn't. But I liked LP way more than that. But this was like, especially with the production, was the main thing of just like, I know I say this on the podcast a lot, and I don't mean this as a disrespect to either of them, but they could have been saying anything on this album, and it still would have been fucking fire because of the production is so fucking
for sure.
intense.
I feel like there was a lot of points where both of them were rapping their asses off.
That's impressive. Yeah, like the fact they didn't have to, and yet there's so many fun.
I honestly think if that was an instrument, if Peggy dropped this just as an instrumental album, this would have probably been my favorite album this past year. Just from a sonic standpoint, and like I was talking with Rav about this earlier when we were sitting through and listening to it again. So like with me, there's two forms of listening to music. Like one form is like analytical from a standpoint of like, how did they do this? Like, oh, this is cool. There's like a technical form to this, or like whatever. Then there's like another one that's like more of a knee jerk, like, oh, this makes me feel a thing. And I notice like a lot of times I'll enjoy something in an analytical way, but like won't enjoy it in the same way of like this, like, oh, this is making me feel good. You know,
for sure.
And there's like a lot of stuff that's like very good music that is like that for me. And with this album, I feel like both sides of my brain are being tickled in the right way.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of.
And yeah, I agree with the analytical stuff, especially like. And look, lyrics are good. There's a lot of like great lyrics. It's not like. I'm not sitting there and like analyzing these lyrics the same way I would like, I don't know, a Billy Woods album, right? But what I do analyze, I enjoy the lyrics and I'll come back to them, but it's the production and everything, and the mixing choices and the way that they cut the vocals in and out and all that. Peggy's use of, that's the thing, Peggy's not just like producing these beats, he's mixing all of this shit, and his use of negative space is always really good. But on this album, I think he like peaked so far. Like, yeah, the negative space is just like got like orgasm worthy, like
for sure. And just like also like we talked earlier about like you'll hear, because like they're not using, what were they using, like a Shure SM7B or whatever? Yeah.
And an SP404.
Yeah, an SP404 for most of everything.
Yeah.
And like you can like hear room reverb in there, and it sounds like, oh, this was recorded in someone's room, like a hotel
room, yeah.
And but the fact that they almost like they used it in
they utilize that on purpose almost.
Yeah, they use it as like a tool almost, and a lot of times, and the way they compress things and everything, it's like super duper. I mean, you could tell like a lot of this was like stock 404 effects, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I think that like it's crazy that he did that with what he was
able to freak it the way that he did.
Yeah, that shit's crazy. Like there's certain beats and certain like mixes where I'm like it gives me a headache almost.
Also the patience to have to make this on the SP404. I know that he probably like had it plugged to his Ableton probably, but
yeah.
But also him doing this whole album on it and then being like, I'm never touching this fucking hardware again, you know, is also a cool thing. It's just like I someone who also kind of does that, not exactly like that, but like from one project to another, I sometimes like to switch up either the software or the hardware that I'm using.
Yeah.
Because it puts your it gets your brain working a different way.
Like, you look at like certain guitarists throughout time, right, and like their guitar tone is like just as important as what they're playing, right? Like Hendrix was really good, but like the way, not, it wasn't just what he was playing, but it was like how it sounded, right?
Yeah.
And I look at being like, oh, okay, like this distortion pedal, this guitar made this sound, and you could tell that it came from this, and it's cool. Like, and not even knowing what that is, you can tell that's like there's a certain secret sauce there that isn't in other stuff that was out at the time, right? And I love, like, just on some like music nerd shit, like hearing the hardware in some kind of way.
Yeah,
And
hardware's super important.
yeah, and I think that like there's a lot of aspects in this where it's like actually like an intentional thing that was cut in post or whatever, but like I think it was like in Step a Pig, I'm wanting to say there's a part where it's like it sounds like it's clipping out and it like straight up goes dead on the snare on like the third bar and like one part of it, right? And like it straight up like just cuts out. And that little attention to detail, because like I know that's not what the hardware did, but he made it sound like it was.
Yeah.
Like little things like that that's so cool to me. Like this, it's so much attention to detail in every song.
And
like,
a brief aside, the reason why we even care about hardware in the first place, I mean, there's many different reasons to care about the hardware, but I think if you're a hip hop fan and you are very keen on hip hop culture and understanding of hip hop music, you eventually get to if hip hop is like an iceberg, you get to a point where like without technological wherewithal or understanding, you will be missing out a huge understanding of culture. Like there's a reason why certain music sounded the way that it did, you know, like coming out from the music that was coming out from Atlanta sounded like the music that it did because of the fucking keyboards that those producers inherited from their parents. You know, from the kind of music that was being made around that time. Detroit has its own sounds, you know, and like, Miami had its own hardware that it used. You know, like Detroit would sometimes use, gear that wasn't geared for hip hop, but more like techno music and reappropriated, or like, you know, the way that turntables were first utilized as well. It wasn't for hip hop. This was not the intended use, you know.
Right.
It's like. Yeah, all of that really helps you understand why so much music sounds the way that it does. Why OG trap sounded the way that it did. Why like a lot of Lil Jon's early 2000s stuff sounded the way that it did.
Like it's crazy because like I mean it was all like regional at the time, right? Like it would be like you were saying like in Detroit or whatever, but like Lil Jon, for example, like Lil Jon's like one of my favorite producers ever, which is a weird thing to say, but like literally him just hearing Miami bass music, like when he was DJing in Miami, coming back up to Atlanta and be like, okay, let's just do that and slow it down. And then that was like crunk. Like that's all it was. It was just like a TR-808. He had like all those synth sounds that he were using were like Juno sounds, and they were straight up just like nothing, like
stock,
completely unprocessed. You know, like Yeah by Usher is like that. Like that's all it was. You know what I mean? And
or Soulja Boy, tell him, you know, like
with FL,
where it's not only is it FL, it's the stock sounds in FL trial mode, because he didn't even buy it. He just like downloaded. He even said it like, I didn't want to buy that shit, and you couldn't save files. You could just like, you could make a beat and export it. So he just made a beat and exported it, and like using the stock sounds.
I did that shit too.
Yeah, and when you hear when you don't hear the stock sounds, and it's just like as a listener, you enjoy the music and you enjoy it for what it is. But as someone who also knows like behind the scenes how it works, it kind of it gives you a better understanding of like, oh, how he probably got to the point where he made this, or they made that, and that clues you in on like, again, the cultural understanding of how hip-hop evolves, like why production evolved in the way that it did, why certain regional sounds evolved the way that they did, and also why things changed over time. And a lot of it is linked to hardware. So if you are a hip-hop fan listening to this and you feel like you know a lot about hip-hop, I feel like if you haven't sunken your teeth into like the history of certain types of equipment and shit, do yourself a favor, look into it. There's so much stuff out there, and it's really interesting.
There's actually a YouTube channel. I can't remember the name of it, but if you Google like any like, or search in YouTube, like any TR-808, what had happened was, right? There's or whatever. There's a channel that explains like and breaks down like not like the cultural significance, but like the utilitarian use of like hardware and stuff like that, like certain keyboards. And then he'll talk about like, well, this was used in this thing, and like, oh, Michael Jackson used this keyboard, and this is like a lot of the sounds are in this. And like when you start going down that rabbit hole, and then you like start, it really gives you like Dilla's music is really dope, but like when you know what Dilla was doing with the MPC, then it's like, oh, that was crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you really get an appreciation for it. It's a cool rabbit hole to go down. Yeah,
for sure. You get a better understanding. It's like appreciating good instrument playing. You were saying Hendrix, right? Like seeing someone like, if you watch someone who's a casual player of guitar and you watch Hendrix, you might appreciate that Hendrix is playing a bit better, but you might not know just how much better they're playing because you're not acutely like fixated on that, or so your understanding of it is way more limited. So but the more you expand it, the more you start to understand like, oh, that's crazy that he does this and that, and holy shit. And like it's like another layer to enjoying music. It doesn't super affect this, it doesn't have to super affect how you enjoy a song or not. In my experience, sometimes it does, but it's just like another dimension to enjoyment of music. Is the way I see it.
For sure. I think all of that's applicable to this album in a lot of ways. Like, especially the fact that he used the 404, which is like a huge part of like several different types of rap music, you know, over the years. And especially the 404 was like, you know, what was it, that era, early 2010s, the Team Supreme type music. What was it? Like Future Beats and stuff. Yeah. You know, like the 404 really came into its own and became like almost like a hardware symbol of a sound and on the West Coast. Yeah, for sure. And but it is very limited. It's really cool and it has a lot of things about it, but it's very limited. So it's cool to see Peggy challenge himself and knock this album out so quickly, because he just came out with LP, wasn't it like last year or something? Yeah, I think it was a year ago.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, like he's very prolific. He's like 33 or something, I want to say, you know, and he just keeps surprising me. Like he's an immensely talented person, and as is Danny Brown. And it's great to see like two quote unquote older individuals within this young man's game still manage to create something so fresh and different, and also still have a lot of like references for like I feel like everyone to appreciate. Like when you were talking about Step a Pig, like I love that Peggy says, "You ain't Kai, one Twitch and you banned." Like
crazy.
Yeah, like you know, like that's like I always like that Peggy references a lot of internet kind of stuff and everything, whilst also then like spotlighting the issue of like toxic masculinity within a white supremacist patriarchy. Like it's cool. I love how he always tries to emasculate the ones who are most insecure in their masculinity, almost, you know. Yeah, for also, sure. Step a Pig, another compliment about Step a Pig. The first words that Danny Brown comes in on the song with are uncut with that cum sock, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I really appreciated a lot of the like, you know, kind of unhinged Danny Brown bars. I feel like he was like channeling a lot of like it reminded me of like damn, what was that album before 30? Hybrid?
Yeah, Hybrid. Wait, before, you mean before XXX?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, I call it 30.
Okay.
But yeah, that one. He starts off and go 30. Sorry, Anyway, but that one, Triple X. But yeah, Hybrid, they did, there was a lot of stuff that kind of was like the similar, he had bars about like fucking like, oh, the girl's pussy smells like Cool Ranch Doritos and stuff like that. I think that might actually been 30. I can't remember, but but it was around that time. But I remember like him just having bars about like fucking Netflix and chill on a jailbroken Roku is like so funny.
That's so funny.
Yeah. You know, like
the he has a lot of like range also in terms of lyrics, because there's a lot of funny shit on here, like when he says he doesn't trust businesses because y'all let Jack Harlow sell your chicken, right? But then like on the next song, like on Ho, there's like a line where he says send God a text, but his message turned green. Like that's fucking crazy.
Crazy
you
bar.
know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Also, really appreciate all the wrestling references.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say it
I heard
eventually.
a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
of
I
them.
heard a Darby Allin reference. I heard a Tony Khan reference.
Hogan.
He fucking name drops
Yeah.
the Iron Sheik, R.I.P.
Oh
in the
yeah.
opening.
yeah.
He says something about the
oh,
camel clutch.
Yeah, the camel
Yeah.
clutch.
Yeah, you know, what else? They sampled Brock Lesnar for the "Party's Over, Grandpa." Like that. Like,
Oh shit! I didn't even hear that.
yeah, at the end of one of the songs. I
What
can't
was the
remember.
Iron Sheik line? Wasn't he saying like you stretching
Stretch your-
truths?
no,
I'm
stretch-
stretching your girl.
Stretching your girl like a
Iron
like the
Sheik.
Iron
Yeah, he
Sheik.
said you stretching truths. I'm stretching your girl out like Iron Sheik.
Yeah, R.I.P. the King.
R.I.P. the King.
Yeah, there was
Speaking of
a
Peggy,
few-
Peggy had a lot of good bars on this album too.
Yeah, he did. He really. They both rapped.
And I feel like he had a lot of good ones. Like you know when he said she let anybody in, she like the army. That's awesome.
Also, the fact that he is a veteran makes that way funnier.
Facts.
Yeah. Like,
And then the album starts off with first off, fuck Elon Musk. That's great.
That's an incredible opening line. Yeah, that's all timer.
And
Yeah.
then on that same song, I'm pretty sure this is a dig at Drake when he said these dudes texting with kids, it don't get no stranger than this.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely a Drake.
And
diss.
on that same song, he got like, you know, I don't fuck with y'all N-words, like Papa John or whatever, right?
Same thing
And
with
He says about Hogan.
And then he says also about Hogan and also Paula Dean, and they go through a bunch
Yeah.
of them, and it never gets old to me. Okay, I love that. Call all of them out, you know, and that's not even call them out, just kind of like a reference, remind us, refresh our memories on all of the people who fucking
Some
did
of us
this.
may have forgotten about the Hulk Hogan N-word tape. You know?
Oh no, I feel like the Hogan one is one people will more likely remember because there's like that popular meme of Hogan like spray painting NWA, not
NWO.
NWO on the thing, but it just starts with NW
Well,
and it looks like NI.
Do you know the context of the Hulk Hogan thing? Because it makes it. That's even crazier.
The context of that photo, or are you talking about Hogan being racist?
No, him being racist.
Yeah, I know.
Him on the
I know
sex
all
tape.
about that. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
all about that.
Yeah. That was.
But I'm just saying, like, no. But what I'm
only reason
saying
I
is the
say we might have forgotten is
the
because
average person, the normie, is not going to know that, but they know the image of Hogan writing the N-word. And so when you go into the
Yeah.
comments for those tweets, people always bring those facts up. This is why I say it's more
but I
relevant.
do want to bring up like just him. Okay, my man Hogan had the worst day of all time. Okay, because like not only did he like get filmed cheating on his wife, was that what it
Yeah,
was?
I do
But
believe
then
so.
he's like, then says like a bunch of racist shit right after on the tape, and I'm just like, that's crazy. That is insane.
That's the oddest post-nut clarity I could ever imagine is, hey, you know what I was thinking about? My daughter and black people.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been weighing on my mind very heavily. I need to talk about it right now, sitting on the side of the bed. I'm not even gonna get out of the bed. I'm just gonna throw my legs over the side of the bed and just start throwing the N-word around.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
this
was
is where his
nuts.
brain went when he panicked. You know, him and PewDiePie are alike, I suppose. But what was the? I had one other bar that I forgot. There was like another one. There was one I didn't know he was talking about where Peggy says something like, "How you gonna be in your over 30 and getting your ass beat where you sleep? Come on, bro." Like he says that at the end of the song and it doesn't even rhyme. And I'm like, who's he talking about? Like, did someone in their 30s? Did a rapper in their 30s get their ass beat over the last year that I can't recall? Like the only people I can think of getting beat are definitely like in their earlier 20s. So maybe I just don't. I wasn't keeping up enough.
Well, I don't know. I know like Freddie Gibbs got jumped, but I don't think that
Oh,
was it.
but I don't think he would have did- no, there's no way he
Especially
would have
not the
dissed
way
him.
that he said it.
And it wasn't. He didn't get jumped in like his
He
own
also
city or nothing.
he also had this like he had shots at his ex on there because he had something where he like tweeted about like his ex like not like she's worked at some kind of like place and
Oh
for,
yeah,
like,
he
such
says
and
on the
such
album,
years.
"All my exes turned ops."
Yeah, but he had a bar about like he said something about like, oh, you're 30, you still working at such and such, you ain't even shift leader.
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
like the meanest thing I think I've ever heard someone say to someone. That's insane. Yeah, no, yeah, there was some crazy ones, and I think that also a lot of the like drum and bass stuff. Like I mean, like I think it was a Jack Harlow one that has like that break. And I wanted to say that speaking of hardware, that shit sounds like some like Amiga shit. Like you remember like people used to like make drum and bass on like
Yeah.
their Amiga systems back in the day.
Yeah.
That's a another crazy rabbit hole to go down, but like the compression and the time stretching sounds just like it sounds like he just grabbed one off of one of those YouTube videos.
And the switch up on that too, when it switches to like a piano solo, that like the chord
That
progression
jazzy
shifts,
piano, yeah.
And he
and then it
starts
goes back into it, and then on each fourth, there's just like a dissonant chord progression, but I fucking love it. I don't know, it's super dope.
also just him saying, "Bitch, I pray for you."
When he starts singing "I pray for you" with autotune, and then when he says "bitch," he says "bitch." He just bitch, and it cuts all the beat drops out for just the moment he says "bitch." It's so perfect. It feels almost like a you know, in The Office where he just kind of looks over the camera kind of moment. Or like a Hamlet turning to the audience real quickly, you know, just for a brief moment. I love it. It's a great album. It's fun. From what I understand, they knocked it out pretty quickly. This is not the most like deeply conceptual album, but I don't think anyone was expecting that from Scaring the Hoes Volume 1. You know, like the point I think was to piss people off, like, because that's what Peggy does. He's good at pissing the right people off. You know, he's got a lot of agitative kind of lyrics that he throws out there. Danny Brown is just funny as all get out as usual, and JPEG Mafia is an incredible producer and engineer. So like when you see the two of them get together, you don't think to yourself, dude, I want like a life-changing album where they all talk about like their most deepest, darkest desires. Like, no, this is what I wanted. I wanted them to just rap, to talk their shit.
Talk their shit. Yeah.
Over some dope ass beats.
Also, speaking of the beats and stuff, I just want to point out that like it's so crazy that like it really shows like how big of a music nerd Peggy is, because like that man sampled like Khalees on one song, killed that shit, and then on like a few songs later, he samples like Escaflowne, like the old anime from the 90s, and they had Red Veil on that shit, which is
Red Veil
crazy.
killed that shit. My God,
crazy. Yeah, such a cool ass. That's one of the coolest beats I've ever heard too. Like it's just a lot of like I know you just listen to a lot of cool music all the time.
Yeah, 100%. And also the fact that Red Veil is so young, and so talented already.
Yeah,
like both production and writing and rapping. Like that the swing and rhyme scheme on his opening bars on the song. He's like, "We got next, so clear the front. Been throwing my elbow in this shit. They on me like Velcro. All I need is a cell phone. I'ma get what I want. I've been out of Melrose for a little. We spare home. Then again in a month. Try to get the bread home, and I'm trying to get the bread home. Want my brothers to stunt." Like the way he delivers it is so fucking perfect. It's such a great inner rhyme scheme and outward rhyme scheme that like flow. The way that he delivers it, it's got like the swing to it. It almost feels like he fucking navigates a boat through the fucking beat. That shit was so beautiful and so dope, and I always get excited when I hear like talented people that are this young come out of the fray, come into the fray, because there's just so much potential. We're so lucky, you know. We're gonna be blessed with so much good music. If there's going to be more musicians like Red Veil in the future, you know?
Yeah, I'm a huge Red Veil guy.
Shout out to Red Veil.
Yeah, shout out Red Veil the long way. Yeah.
Not being as familiar with the hardware aspect of things, for me, the kind of mark out moments were more for recognizing the wild beat flips, like you had mentioned, the Kellis jungle beat flow for a fentanyl tester.
Yeah.
Just the way that was used was just like, you wouldn't have thought about that.
Yeah.
The gospel sample for God Loves You
so good.
goes so
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
Such a good beat.
That beat makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that beat
And
is so good.
the going back to Brooklyn, going back to Cali, Run the Jewels.
Yo, I have a theory on this. Hold on. Wait. I have a theory on this. Okay, so there is a phenomenal DJ mix. It's actually on Spotify called Straight Up Detroit Shit by DJ Assault. Okay, and it's all like ghetto tech, like that kind of stuff. It's really, really, really so good. Dope. It's from 1996, and it sounds like it was made like a year ago. Okay, there's certain aspects that feel a little dated, but like a lot of the production's crazy. But the reason why I think this is interesting is because the first song on that mix is the Going Back to Cali like the Run the Jewels joint thing, right? Okay. But the thing that's also interesting is that I'm pretty sure they sampled it from that, because like the scratches are the same and everything. And I might be wrong, but the reason why I think that is because I know that Danny Brown is like really into like Detroit electronic stuff from that era, and it's like, because it sounds like some shit he would have been on. Like if Danny was rapping like the way he is now back in the 90s, he would be on one of those like really nasty, like super explicit ghetto tech songs back in the day in Detroit. And I think like I just thought that was really cool, like a cool like Easter egg thing that I might be wrong, but I'm like 90% sure that's where that came from.
Then there's the other aspect of it that I wasn't really sure what they were coming from, but it didn't really matter. The that really loud clipping guitar solo in Garage Pale Kids.
Oh yeah,
and also
Garbage Pail Kids, right?
Yeah.
And where you get your coke from just kind of sounded like a classic rock radio station was trying to break through.
Yeah, like break through the static. Yeah. It's funny. We were talking about like earlier, we were talking about like style points in things, and like how like there's a point in where you get your coke from where Danny is straight up rapping over that guitar sample, and it sounds like you can barely understand what he's saying because it's so loud. And just like sacrificing the clarity for like that one like final like boom moment, you know, and then like letting the sample play out and it's still like super blowed out and stuff is like really cool to me.
I'm 100% always in favor of style over clarity. If there has to be a compromise between style and clarity, I always go with style. You know, if people really want to see the lyrics, they'll find them, right? But I don't know. Ultimately, the music needs to be really enjoyable. I also like to, I listen to music from all over the place. I was talking with Bill today, like when I listen to someone from Korea or Brazil, I don't really know how dope their lyrics are in terms of the content. But one thing I can judge them on is like how dope it sounds, you know, how dope everything comes together for me. So ultimately, like that's something I prioritize first. Style in terms of versus clarity. I don't think there needs to be a compromise in terms of style versus content. I think you can have both, but style and clarity, you can't always have both. And I'm glad that Peggy went with style over clarity over and time again. There's many moments even on like fuck, I don't remember if it was the second or third joint, when he comes in, he's like yelling and the beat is playing loud as fuck, and it's like it's so chaotic and it sounds all great, but you can't make out a word.
Yeah.
You know, you could like every now and then you catch a word. You're like, oh, he said gun. Oh, he said fuck. You know, or whatever. But like, it's not about that. It's like his energy. It's almost like, oh, like, I like how disorienting it is because sometimes it needs to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to achieve a certain type of feeling by having too much clarity, it takes away from it can take away from that. You know, there's like a give and take with a lot of these decisions that you make as a producer. And I just feel like Peggy does everything not by the book. Like the choices and decisions he makes are not like what traditionally people would tell you to do or people traditionally do. And yet it still respects the most important rule, which is do it sound dope. And it do. And so shout out to Peggy. It's awesome to watch him absolutely like pave his own way and like be almost entirely in his own lane. Like there's people who I've heard on SoundCloud and Bandcamp who have like been inspired by his style of production and rapping, and that's awesome. And I look forward to seeing these people like grow up within their own artistic identities and see where they develop it from. But in terms of like that lane, he has spearheaded it and he's untouchable currently.
Yeah, I feel like there's like no one can do that the way he does it in that sound, whether it's like your favorite, it's your cup of tea or not. Like I think it's just like he's got that lane like sewed the fuck up right now, and it's really cool to see, especially with him being as prolific as he is.
Peggy will fuck shit up, and I feel like he'll continue to fuck shit up going forward. You know, he's like one of those people like LP to me, where I'm just like convinced that like, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but you're gonna do it. You're gonna like produce something that's gonna make me feel like surely you're almost out of good ideas by now. Surely, how do you keep, you know? So very inspiring. Peggy has been a muse of mine for like a few years. One of my muses. So shout out Peggy and shout out Danny Brown.
Yeah, no, Danny killed it.
I love Danny Brown.
Yeah, it was. I was really worried going into this because like a lot of times you hear on like collaborative projects like people like kind of phone it in.
Yeah.
And I was worried that although I think Danny is like a super capable rapper, but like I felt like I was afraid that he was just gonna come in and rap and just like that be part of it. Like it just be like, okay, cool, the collab album's here, there you go. But I feel like there were so many moments where he kind of like went above and beyond and really barred it out like it was a mainline project for him.
And when he didn't bar it out, he just sounded perfect. You know, because even on things like, watch out. Like all the vocal inflections he does in the right parts of the beat switch ups. He's always so good. His flow is always just like, every time he switches up a flow or does like something to his flow, I'm just like, that's perfect. That's exactly what needed to be there. It's kind of like the way he rhymes sometimes is how like my brain goes like, oh, that's the part of the brain that needed to be scratched next.
Yeah, well, it's like Orange Juice Jones, like that song. Like I feel like he wrote, and they both like wrote it in different ways. It was great, but like it's such a like. The thing about Danny that's really cool to me is that he does a lot of like traditional hip hop stuff very, very well, while also like breaking the rules a lot. Yeah. And I think like when he is just being like a classic, like, oh, like I'm like what your parents think of a rapper. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that kind of thing, like on a song like that, you know, it's just like perfect. He knows when to ride the beat and stuff. And then he also knows when to go off kilter and do something weird. And it really shows like his chops for all the years that he's been rapping. And maybe that's something they have in common, you know, like also is that like the switch ups. Their music is very. Danny Brown's always like gravitated towards very experimental music. So has Peggy. But with this album in particular, it's just like there's a switch up like every 8 bars, you know, at least, and it makes the music feel shapeless. As someone who produces music, especially, I think a lot of producers who listen to this, who produce in DAWs, will understand what I mean. Like sometimes when you listen to music that's like traditionally formatted, like you have your 4-bar intro, 16-bar verse, 8-bar hook, 16-bar verse, 8-bar hook, 8-bar outro, like you can't help but after a while, like listening to when you hear music, almost seeing the squares in your head, and everything's like everything's just like, oh, here's a block, he just copy pasted it. And when I listen to Peggy's music, it's always shapeless. It's like formless. It's like water. It's just like, and yet it doesn't feel chaotic where I'm like so overwhelmed by the end of it. And none of it feels like, oh, this is experimental, but pretentious experimental. He's just like throwing whatever at the wall and we're all pretending it sounds good. It's like, no, it sounds good. It shouldn't. Like so many things by all accounts shouldn't sound good on here, but they do. We feel like they shouldn't sound good because we ain't heard nobody else do it. That's usually like how, this is why, like, you know, artists like this are super important and precious and special, and I hope he doesn't listen to his fans. I don't know what his fans are saying, but whatever they say, he needs to just listen to his own gut. Fans don't know what they want. Fans didn't know they needed this album until they heard it, you know? So it's and that'll always be the case. If Peggy, if you're somehow listening to this, like, I know you probably don't need to be told this, but goddamn, just like stay on the path you're going down, and if you can help it, please cut down on alcohol or just cut it out of your life, because it'd be a shame to lose you as a person in general, but it'd also be a shame to lose you as a fucking musician. You know, selfishly, I'll say that. So yeah, shout outs Peggy and shout outs Danny Brown. I hope rehab's gone well for him. I hope so too. Because I want, like, selfishly, I want more Danny Brown music, but also just from on a person level. Like, it seems like there was a lot of things going into this, like, based off of, like, him at the show where he was talking about going to rehab and stuff. It sounded like he wasn't in, like, the best headspace, like, for himself. Yeah. And, like, I listened to his podcast some, and it kind of, like, there was a lot of stuff that felt like he was not in the happiest spot,
and not dealing with really at the time. Yeah,
and I think like for all intents and purposes, I'm not trying to sound like I'm preaching at nobody, because I'm just I'm a fan. I don't know these people, right? But I just hope that everybody ends up happy and healthy. You know what I mean?
I have some mutual friends and people in my life with Danny Brown, and from everyone that I've met who knows Danny Brown intimately, nothing but good things. Seems to be like a great guy. So awesome. It's always awesome to see great guys winning, and I can't wait for Scaring the Hose Volume 2. And if that never comes, I won't blame them. That's normal for Volume 1 to not be followed up. I just hope they continue working together, because Danny Brown is talented as fuck, and he'll always make good music, and Peggy will always make good music no matter who he works with. And seeing people work together is always more exciting to me. So
100%. What he said, ditto even.
And just even as a big bring it back around moment, for people who may not have known Danny Brown before that viral clip went around from the podcast, the trans people are my friends, transphobes get these hands. Like, a lot of people probably learned who Danny Brown was because of that clip, which is
that's funny.
Great.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's great.
I just like to picture people who had no idea who he was and then listen to this straight from that.
Oh, that'd be funny. You know what? I hope, I don't know, because I'm not on that part of TikTok, but I hope Your Old Droog's song, shout out Your Old Droog, that one song where he says, it don't matter what your pronouns are, you are not him. I think that hook is amazing.
That's super fire.
That hook is awesome, and it's like, it's a way to normalize a form of language, or normalize the discussion of gender identity without sounding preachy or like being like a liberal mom that's like, you know, this is what's right and this is what's wrong. It's like,
in this house we believe in science.
In this house we believe in science and Black Lives Matter and this and that. It's like, like you don't have to necessarily constantly each time, like recite what's on your sticker. So I like that shit, like more seamless implementation of things that should be normalized, in my opinion, in conversations.
I think that kind of clever, witty way to go about it is the kind of stuff that will catch on with people who don't normally think that way, or don't really consider themselves woke in that way, but would be like, oh no, I get that. And it's like, not just reciting the company line, so to speak, because like that's not going to resonate with anybody, because that just furthers the misconception people have of like, oh, you'll just repeat the same thing, and it's like, well, that's not helping anybody.
And it feels like people when they hear shit like that, they're like, they're reverting to tribalism. But when they hear people just flexing and like just saying cool shit and using language in a more natural way, an organic way, it doesn't feel head ass, like preachy head ass. It feels just like, no, you're just listening to music without already like being defensive about shit. Which I think is important.
That's the thing. That's the key, is normalizing. I feel like if Your Old Droog did an album, did a song where he was like changing how he talked in a song, like for that, then it would be weird and preachy and strange. But just like, hey, like this is like these are people that exist and this is normal, and y'all are being weird. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and maybe even on a preachy level, maybe I'll just leave room for potential there. Maybe there's a way to approach that could work for some people, But I think ultimately shit that is more seamless, shit that is less judgmental in the way that it is presented, I think will resonate better with people and will have a more positive long-term effect and destigmatizing certain things. Just because even if a person doesn't think about gender stuff after hearing that song, on a subconscious level, there's a part of their brain that knows like it doesn't matter what your pronouns are. People have different pronouns, and it doesn't and it's a choice. And he's saying you are not him. He's saying you ain't dope. He's like, he's using like, regardless how much thought you put into it, that's like a part of your brain that has been ignited. Next time a conversation of gender comes up or something like that comes up, you might fire off the same synapse from like when you heard that Your Old Droog song, and like, or now now it might seem like less alien to you. Like you might be more willing. Also because Ural Droog said it. If Ural Droog, he's like toxic, not toxic. He's masculine and he's big and he sounds cool and he's New York. Oh, and he's thorough and like. But he's saying this. He's acknowledging like gender identity, pronouns. Okay, so maybe it's not that dumb. Maybe it's not like as stupid as some of like these crypto bros make it out to be or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
For sure.
It kind of goes back to people who say like, oh, trans people can't take a joke. It's like, have y'all seen the kind of fucking jokes that trans comedians...
It's the best, dude. Most of... like
it's like, yes, we fucking can.
It's the best. Like most of... Well, that's always been the case. Like, it's what's interesting is like a lot of queer culture and black culture, just like I wouldn't say a lot. Most culture comes from black and queer culture, right? To the point where we have people like Fuentes and his sympathizers, just neo-Nazis, right, and modern day KKK members who use AAVE. When they talk about certain things, and they don't even fully know it because it's so deeply integrated, because that's how culture works, you know. It's a melting pot and it evolves over time, but it's interesting, right? Like it's some of the most transphobic and queer and homophobic and racist people will love memes and things that and cultures that originate from very queer spaces or black spaces,
for sure,
or queer black spaces more often than not, you know what I'm saying, which has pioneered most of them. Like I feel like paved the way for like language over the last 20 years, how it's changed and everything, you know, like, so that's funny. That's kind of funny, right?
Yeah, you know, do you really think about it? The people pleaser in me that doesn't want anyone to go away mad. The reason I messaged Bill first is because I wasn't sure if you were on tour. Like,
I appreciate it. I didn't even know you messaged Bill first. Now I'm mad. No, I'm joking. No, but actually,
I knew Bill's tour was over. And it's funny. I asked Bill, hey, be on the show because I know you just had the tour. We could talk about the tour. And we didn't talk about the tour.
Oh, yeah. We have the whole tour.
Oh, shit. Well, if this comes out while I'm still on tour, I'm touring the second half of June. And on East Coast
it definitely
and Midwest.
will be out before that.
Cool.
Awesome.
Come see me, y'all.
Also,
please.
I might dip in.
Oh yeah, Bill might be a surprise guest on one or two shows.
Yeah. Who knows? But you know, was it Rav.store?
Rav.store/tour. That's right,
Rav.store/tour.
You heard that right. Rav.store/tour, where you will be able to purchase your tickets now.
VIP tickets available as well.
Yes, regular tickets and VIP tickets. Terms and services apply. No, for real. Seriously, thank you for always having us on. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, happy Pride Month, everybody. And yeah, maybe consider following me on social media. Just Google Rav, I'll come up.
Yeah, I just put out an album like a month ago, a little over a month ago, something like that. It's Full Metal Kaiju. You can go listen to that on any streaming service pretty much, so that's kind of neat. And I hope you like that album. And you can follow me on most things at I am Kill Bill. And I probably won't follow you back, but you could. You could follow me, and I might respond maybe if you say a nice thing to me.
If you respond with like really dope fan art or something, and if it's really, really good, Bill might follow you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
No promises.
No promises.
Yeah, dope fan art is kind of the key to my heart.
But he might not be in a good mood. If he's in like his tummy is rumbly, he might not follow you back.
Which is most days, actually.
Yeah.
So, it's a crapshoot. But yeah, you could follow if you want.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
We love you and appreciate you.
Kill Bill, Rav, it's always a pleasure. And
R.I.P. Rap Critic. It's a shame what happened to him.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for having us step in.
It's a shame under these circumstances. I hate it. You know, it's bittersweet.
Hey man, whatever. You know, things happen, right? You
can't mourn forever, right?
Hey man, you know, he would have hated for you to mourn forever. He probably would have wanted you to live a happy life instead. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Don't mourn his death, celebrate his life.
Yeah.
I want people to celebrate a rap critic's life in the comments.
Everybody celebrate rap critic's death in the comments. R.I.P.
You know I can't now in case like something happens on his travels. I can't. I would never, with a clear conscience, be able to live with myself.
You're right.
Oh shit! Fair enough.
Okay. Wait. I'm gonna say it.
fuck,
Wait. Before we're done. We ready? All right. Bye.
Bye bye. I clipped like hell on that. That's great.
That's good.